We are now two-thirds of the way. We are now two-thirds of the way through the best of the Super Juniors 29. And here's how they stack up. It's no longer a mirror. The blocks are no longer mirroring each other. Controversially, because you could take how the ending of Austin versus Ishimori is, and you could call it a double pin, and essentially both would have 9 points. But that being said, Ace Austin now leads the pack with 10 points. Ishimori and Alex Zane are tied in second with 8. Sho, Yo, Clark Connors, and Hiromu Takahashi each have 6. Kanemaru and Akira are at 4, and eliminated from the A block at 2 is Taguchi. In the B block, it's a bigger clusterfuck. Tied at 8 are still El Desperado, El Lindemann, and El Fantasmo. But now you have a back row coming up on them all with 6. DJP, Wheeler Yuta, Robbie Eagles, and Bushi. Bushi and Doki. With Master Wato standing alone at 4 points, and Titan in the basement with 2, mathematically out of the running. And for the most part, we've had many of these matches have gone pretty quick. The lone exception was today's main event, where Robbie Eagles defeated El Fantasmo in a little less than 25 minutes. Yeah, this was the first match all damn tournament to go over 20 minutes. Thanks, Darwin. That said, I do have some complaints with the tournament. 2 to be exact. And they're both in the A block. You already know how I feel about Taguchi. He's the kind of comedy wrestler that is difficult to love and quite fucking easy to despise with his bullshit ass antics. But that's Taguchi. He's stagnated like this ever since he basically got out of serious mode and is basically only periodically going after the Bullet Club, which isn't often, I might want to point out. The other guy, on the other hand, the other complaint I have, however, the other wrestler complaint I have, on the other hand, pisses me off to no end because I know this guy is good, but since joining Bullet Club, he's fucking atrophied, constantly relying on foul play to get wins. I'm, of course, referring to Sho Tanaka. I first saw Sho in person at a Ring of Honor television taping back in 2017 when he and Yo, when they were known as the Tempura Boys, teamed with Colt Cabana in a losing effort against Dalton Castle and his boys over the Ring of Honor 6-man titles. 3 months later, 2.5 months later, they were back in New Japan as Sho and Yo were back in New Japan as Roppongi 3K and firmly planted in Chaos, where they won 5 reigns as IWGP Junior Tag Titles champions from 2017 to 2021. But they only got 2 defenses out of them. 2020, Yo goes down to an ACL strip, and Sho is basically forced to go the whole year alone and becomes a much more aggressive wrestler. Yo comes back at Sakura Genesis and they win the junior tag titles. Yo gets a junior title shot against Desperado and fails, and then they eventually drop the titles back to Ishimori and Phantasmo. Super Junior Tag League in 21. There's some cracks forming, and then eventually in the penultimate match of the tournament, Sho stabs Yo in the back, leaving him to rot. This sets up their match in the MetLife Dome at the end of August, where Sho basically becomes a member of Bullet Club and a part of their new branch, the House of Torture. But I could have pretty much told you that Sho was going to Bullet Club from the moment he came out in his new attire at the time in the MetLife Dome. It was all black, studded in spikes. He was wearing gray and black pants. It screamed Bullet Club to me. It was too obvious of a tell. Fast forward to Power Struggle, where he, Evil, and Yujiro Takahashi beat Hiroki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, and Yoshihashi for the never openweight six-man titles. And Show finds his gimmick tool. Evil has Dick Togo himself and the chairs. Dick Togo has his garrote. Yujiro has his walking stick. And what does Show carry? A fucking wrench! And this begins to where I see Show starting to stagnate as a member of the House of Torture. Throughout the Best of the Super Juniors tournament, he uses the methods of get the ref knocked down, low blow the opponent, or have the House of Torture run interference constantly. Smack him in the face with a wrench, and either finish them off with his triangle choke, which he calls snake bite, or the shock arrow, a straitjacket package pile driver. It got him wins in in 5 of his first 6 matches. In 6 of his first 7 matches, but he ended up dropping each of his last 4 when he took on opponents who could deduce what he was up to and were able to stop him from pulling them off. The losses he suffered were Kanemaru who got the jump on him and then rolled him up. Then he ended up losing to Robbie Eagles, who managed to out wrestle him. His Bullet Club stablemates Ishimori and El Phantasmo, both of who were able to outwit him in the same way Kanemaru did, but a little differently. Basically, Phantasmo stomped on Show's hand with the loaded boot, and the ref saw him tap out, saying he was in pain, he couldn't keep going, that sort of thing. And his former partner, Yo, who rolled him up. This year, he started off on a bad foot. Against Francesco Akira, TJP took the wrench out of his hands. Against Alex Zane, Zane just basically outpowered him. He basically outpowered him and outfinessed him and was able to get the wrench out of his hand too. Clark Connors was his first win. Basically used the wrench and then rolled him up, even with the handful of tights. So I think the handful of tights was a moot point. Against Ishimori, he got outfoxed. Basically, Ishimori out-cheated him. Figuratively and literally out-cheated him. Then came his last 2 matches. First against Taguchi, which was going to suck either way because, again, I'm sick of the ass antics. Taguchi seemed to have his number in terms of countermeasures. Stealing the wrench and replacing the wrench the shirt with a wrench inside it. And replacing it with a shirt that had a banana inside it. He had a searchlight. A spelunking light. And gave it to the young lion Nakashima. The lights went out. He had Togo he was teabagging Dick Togo. Evil had killed the lights, by the way. And then only to get hit in the face with the knob of Yujiro's walking stick. And Show won that way. Today, it took the whole damn House of Torture, plus Show loading his boot with a spare wrench, kicking at Takahashi's leg, and screwing him, and then putting him in a heel hook to get the W. This is why I do not like redundant heels. Show fits the bill of a redundant heel. He's a good wrestler. He does not need to resort to this bullshit. I mean, sooner or later, come the Budokan, if he's opposite to Hiramu and both are not in the grand final, I wouldn't be surprised that if he tries to thrust kick either Togo or Yujiro in the face, everyone is going to pin him down in LIJ that's available. Or if he's facing the whole contingency of Chaos in the Hontai, everyone pins him down. I mean, like Taguchi, Yo, Eagles, Tiger Mask, what have you. Everyone pins him down, takes the boot off, and reveals the spare wrench. Because no, other than me, I noticed that when Show went out to the ring, outside the ring, he was stuffing something in his boot, and it looked like another wrench. It's no different, but much more effective, more dangerous than what El Phantasmo did throughout the entirety of last year with that hunk of metal inside his own boot. Learn from history, and you can avoid repeating it. You don't learn from it, you're doomed to repeat it. And Show, you make me sick at what you've become. Nothing more than a sociopathic, lying piece of garbage who doesn't want to rely on his wrestling skills. He wants to rely on foul play. You want to rely on foul play to bail you out time and time again. And I'm sorry to any wrestling fans and who want to get on my case on being the Deadpool of wrestling, i.e., the wrestling fan who wants to who has no qualms with breaking the fourth wall known as kayfabe. But you know what? Fuck kayfabe. Maybe in this case. Everyone knows that the House of Torture is one of the worst spin-offs of Bullet Club. If not the absolute worst spin-off of Bullet Club. Even worse than the Elite. And to that House of Torture apologist that Kevin Kelly brings up when he's doing the shows, let me put it like this, ma'am. Show is not getting anywhere with these tactics. Sure, he's a never openweight six-man tag champ, but has it gotten him a run with the junior title? Has it gotten him a run with the never title? No! None of these tactics have helped him get the big prize. Making it worse from now is because of the fact the title's already in the stable. It's just with the guy who's held it more often than him and Phantasmo put together in Taiji Ishimori, who's a far better wrestler or who doesn't need to rely on cheap tactics as often as Show does. Even when Shawn Michaels disbanded the Rockers at the end of 91 and 92 by super kicking Marty Jannetty on the barbershop and throwing him through the window, for the most part, throughout 1992 and 1993, during that stretch where Shawn Michaels was rising through the ranks as a singles wrestler and eventually becoming Intercontinental Champion on 2 occasions during that stretch. 8 times out of 10, despite being the heel, he did not resort to foul play, to the best of my knowledge. He let his wrestling skills do the talking for him. Why don't you do the same, Show? Why not? But then again, I think this is why a lot of people hold more respect for other heel factions, like, say, for example, the United Empire. True, they're heels, but do they resort to those kind of underhanded tactics? No, they don't. They're all about letting their skills, their ability in the ring to do the talking for them. They are more about beating you straight up, not taking shortcuts. And this is something me and the goofballs, John and Ashton and Twitwell, will never see eye to eye on when it comes to the United Empire. Mostly because these two are dumbass woke dumbasses who basically jumped on board the Speak Out bandwagon and threw their Will Ospreay membership up in the fan club membership in the garbage. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not the biggest fan of Will either. I just don't the biggest fan of Will either, but I do respect his wrestling credibility. And I don't make fun of him by calling him Billiam Ocean Spray. And I see what Will is doing with this group. He's taken so many good pieces and put them into a machine that can work for the benefit of the whole. With the guys like Jeff Cobb, The Great O'Khan, TJP, Mark Davis, Kyle Fletcher, and Francesco Akira. You have the powerhouses in O'Khan and Khan and Cobb. The dynamic combination of speed and power in Aussie Open. You have the youth and renowned amount of worldly experience in TJP, and the young passion and fire in the Nova Fireball, Francesco Akira. And then, of course, you have the guy who can put it all together in William Charles Ospreay. And what's Jay White got? Wait, Jay White. The United Empire treats each other like equals. What we got in Bullet Club? Nothing more than a paranoid, megalomaniacal tyrant in Jay White who treats everyone around him like pawns. With the exception of Gato. A guy who will not take dissidents lightly. And so, once you pull your head out of your ass and realize this fact, and by the time you pull your head out of your ass and realize this, it may be too little too late. Throw in the fact you got a bunch of other egos in Bullet Club. Juice Robinson, Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson, Bad Luck Fale, Chase Owens, who I'm actually buddies with, who I actually do have a Twitch subscription to, albeit grudgingly. Evil, Yujiro Takahashi, Dick Togo, Gato, and yourself, Show. And four of those last five are part of a subgroup. The last time a subgroup was created in Bullet Club, it pretty much forced a complete overhaul and reconstruction. I've been waiting for Jay White to say enough's enough with Evil and kick him in the fucking House of Torture to the curb in the same way Tama Tonga, Bad Luck Fale, and Tongaloa and T threw the Elite out of Bullet Club. But have we had that? No, we haven't. And why do you think I view the House of Torture as the maggots of Bullet Club and someone like Chase Owens as the dirt, as dirt in the Bullet Club pecking order? And dirt is Chase, if you think I'm basically saying you're the bottom of the totem pole, not the case. Maggots are actually lower than dirt in the pecking order, which goes maggots, dirt, worms inside of the dirt, popo stool, commie, than Popo. I watch a lot of TFS DBZ abridged, okay? Soon. And Popo is one of the scariest characters you'll ever come across in that version. That being said, why don't you do me a favor with your with your last three matches show? You've got Ace Austin coming up. If you can beat the block leader without resorting to any of your usual tactics, you may get a modicum of my respect back. But do it with the tactics, I'll always view you as a fucking maggot in Bullet Club. The same thing with the rest of the House of Torture. Personally, one other thing. Depending if I go to New York City July 24th, during the month of July, because it's up in the air right now due to my father's, screw that last statement. But my point is this. If you show up July 24th in the Great Coal Center and I opt to go to that event, I'm going to give you so much of a fucking earful. Kayfabe or not. And you know, with me, it's never kayfabe. 'Cause like I said, when it comes to the wrestling fans, I'm basically Deadpool. I have a tension of looking at the fourth wall of wrestling known as kayfabe, and I tend to smash it down when I'm on. And when I'm on here, I tend to smash it to pieces until there's nothing left of it but dust. I've rambled on long enough. Leave a comment, smash the like, sub to the channel. Until next time, this is Meds2128 signing out. Goodbye, good night, bang. I'm not going to be able to cover for the next couple of days of the BOSJ until I get back from Raleigh, as I'll be leaving for Animazement first thing tomorrow morning. Till then, have a nice weekend.